Good morning, traders. So we're still using the Bull-Williams theory. And how do we trade this Aussie or South African top 40 today? Now, yesterday was pretty interesting. So we're bouncing around a bit, but we did break out of a wedge and retest the break. So that was fairly significant. But the massive sell-off we had in the US last night pretty much is going to affect us this morning. So if I just want to have a look at the futures market for a sec. So the Rand dollar 13.83, so that's slightly up from yesterday. And 10 cent is down 2.5%. So you can pretty much almost guarantee yourself that Nasdaq will be down, which means we should have a gap down. Okay, now looking at the daily, this is two green bars in a row on the bouncing off the teeth, and that is a fairly significant level. And I've said this most for the last couple of days. This is starting to look like a bottoming pattern. Okay, now if we come to the 4 hour, you'll see we had a great rally, a pullback, okay, and then we bounced off again. Okay, so the wedge that we are referring to, you'll see it on the lower time frames, but it's pretty much over there. Okay, so we'll look at it on the hour. You'll pick it up there. So we are still above the, and it came back to test the alligator as well, which is the other thing. So this is looking at this is still looking fairly bullish. The fact that we broke above that fractional level there. Okay, so we broke above this fractional level here, and we've come back to test the break, dropped in a little bit below it, but that is pretty much a signal that is, what's a long signal, so fractional break above the alligator. Now, problem is, I think, with all the political noise going on, we're more than likely going to sell off. Although, so what has been happening, if you look at the US markets, Trump came out on the weekend saying there was a deal on the trade war, markets rallied. Monday gapped up massively. China stayed very quiet, not a word from them. Then after the sell-off yesterday, so pretty much this morning, China came out and said, oh, they're sure they're going to reach a deal. So either those two are manipulating or, they're trying to prop the market up. So what could happen at the moment is we could have a little sell-off, find some support at one of these levels, and then continue our climb. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind that there's a very good chance that there's a bit of manipulation happening here. Okay, so where is my wedge? There is my wedge there. So you can see here we had this wedge. Now I pointed it out yesterday. There were only 4 touches on it. Then we had this drop below it, which is normally referred to as an overshoot. We came up, broke the wedge, came back, tested the wedge. At the same time, we were testing an inside level, okay, which is there, and we were testing the alligator. And then we started rallying, well, not quite rallying, but heading in an upward manner. Okay, so the measured move on this is the one that I'm interested in, which is this. I suppose we should take it from the overthrow, go there, and that targets the previous gap close. Okay, so that's the one scenario. The other scenario that we have here is that this is just all a ruse. Okay, it's also a megaphone formation. But the other scenario that we have is we're going to get a bit of a sell-off based on this wedge here. Okay, so take that to there, and then pull that down, and we start looking at this inside tail here. And if we do start heading to there, I'm pretty sure that we should get a gap close here as well. Okay. So yeah, and I suppose this is probably a more solid wedge. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches on the bottom, 1, 2 touches on the top. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about this, from where we are now to there is another 1,000 points almost. So 930, but down to gap close is 1,400. And bear in mind, we also have this gap at the bottom here as well. So we missed it with this. And this is something which I think you must just keep in the back of your mind, is often when we miss gaps like this, don't assume that we're not coming back to close it. Because if you look at it this way, the turning point of this here was on a level on this inside tail, which is fine, but the last line of defense for the gap was there, and we had a close below it. Normally you would see a bit of a rally, just a little bit of a rally, and then another move. So it would have been up like this, and then down, close it in a normal market, and then find a base and start moving. But because you've got all this noise on the weekend with Trump and Twitter, you get this rally and the market goes crazy, and then all of a sudden everybody goes, oh dear, China hasn't said anything, and panic starts to set in, and then the buyers say, oh, you're overreacting, and the buyer starts stepping in, and now what's going to happen is as the market opens, they're going to go, oh damn it, and off we go again. Okay, so this is still open. So I would expect one of these gaps to close today. So I'm ultimately expecting more downside. I know we did get some good data coming out for us, but the way it's looking at the moment, I would expect downside. Now, again, this is not something that I'm going to be trading today. It doesn't actually look like I've got anything to trade today, because I think I'd rather just keep my money in my pocket. This is going to be too volatile. There's just so much going on here. There are butterfly patterns. There are wedges. There are downward wedges. There are falling wedges. There are rising wedges. There are flat top triangles. There are flat bottom triangles. There's just so much confusion when you start looking at price action and patterns, that I think it's probably easier just to sit back and watch the fireworks for now, until we start hitting a fairly decent level, and then worry about getting into the market. And for me, at this stage, fairly decent levels are going to be off the something like that, or even there. Okay, so 44,674. And the other thing to bear in mind is we are below the 200 moving average on the weekly. So, the bears are going to be driving this market every time we come into this area of 4,700. They're going to be driving the market down, trying to force it. I don't see a measured move here on the weekly, but there are some gaps down the bottom here from a couple of years ago, which would be magnets at the moment. Okay, so it probably doesn't help you, and what I do want to do though is just have a quick look at our opening and closing breakout strategies. So this would have triggered a short, nothing materialized. If you are still short, it may still play out. That one there triggered a long, and I think your long targets were met. This would have been the most logical area to take profit. So that's pretty okay, I suppose. and then we've got 2 indecision bars at the close. Yeah. So if I had to pick a direction, this is the one I'm picking. It's short. Okay, short. It's a wedge break, and if we do drop below the 200 moving average on the half hour, then you can expect this gap to close this week. Okay, so if I look at the international markets, there is scope for some more downside. That might just be a short bit of downside, but there is still some scope. So I think that's pretty much how I would play this at the moment. This is a lot of bob wire, a lot of indecision. You can see up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So no real direction there. And I think you'll be looking for a short. Okay. So that's kind of what my view is on this at the moment. Probably doesn't help you much because there's nothing really concrete here. But anyway, let's just close off with the ichimoku. Just have a look here. So 30-minute, we've got a bullish crossover above a cloud. So all of that is giving us a bullish signal. 1 hour, bullish signal. And you can see how Kijinsen here is the level we need to watch. And if we go to the 4 hour, we've just had a bullish, we had a come together and still bullish. So we had a bullish crossover here. Here's a second bullish crossover. We've had a twist in the cloud. We're above. So you wouldn't, you'd be forgiven for looking for a long and looking at that there as your wedge breakout. Okay, so let me just extend that down. So we've broken out, so you could be looking at a retest. Retest would come to Kijinsen and Tikinson here, which is the previous low, which is quite a bit there. So that is a possibility that we just have a short pullback. What is a short pullback? 450 point pullback, and then another move up. But I think the key thing here is while we are inside this cloud, we're going nowhere. Okay, until we break up or down from in the cloud, then we're going to get a direction. But for now, this is sideways, this is ranging. Okay, so that's what basically the cloud is saying. Whenever you're in the cloud like this, you are ranging. And on the daily, we are pretty much going nowhere. So flat Kijinsen, flat Tikinson, flat cloud, price dead center in between the two. That is the indication of complete indecision, and nobody knows what's going on. So I'm in good company then. Okay, so I think that's it for me today. Be careful of this one. I think probably worthwhile maybe watching one of the other European assets to see what's happening there. Or maybe even a currency pair or something to have a look what's happening there and find something different, because at this stage this is not something that I'm really interested in, not looking at what happened yesterday. Okay, anyway guys, sorry that doesn't help you very much, but be patient, something will come up. Anyway, enjoy the day. I'll catch up with you later. Cheers for now.